Hello everybody and welcome back to the MOC Spotlight where we take apart what you build. I'm Starbreaker and I'm melting. For real guys, it's warm out there, stay hydrated and stay safe. I don't know if I'm much a fan of the summer. That aside, last time I was on, I issued a challenge to you guys, a challenge of fire and ice, and I got some responses, so today we're here to take a look at those MOCs that were built for that challenge. The original plan was to showcase the MOC with the highest number of likes and then go for some honorable mentions, but all of these MOCs kinda ended up in a similar ballpark in terms of likes, so instead I've decided to alter that plan a bit, and we'll be taking a look at all 7 of these entries. I won't quite be going for the same scripted approach as normal, but I do firmly believe that each of these is worth taking a look at. So, without further ado, let's get on to the video. Starting off for the day, we have our first build, chronologically, built by boards member Winger, and it's called Relentless Discharge. This awesome diorama-like build is really creative in its parts usage, and for such a small build, it has a lot of detail packed into it. Starting off with the minifigs, I love the amount of detail put into each one of these little guys. Each one is not just some throwaway little figure, there's heart and detail behind each and every one of these. Now, some of these figures are armored up using third-party pieces produced by Brick Warriors, which I think are phenomenal. I got to see some of their booths at a couple LEGO conventions, and honestly, the amount of detail that goes into their parts and pieces for the sake of army and character building is great. If you haven't gotten your hands on any of these, but you like armoring up your characters and making like mini battles just like this one, they are awesome for that sort of thing. They have a wide variety of armor and weapons, and they are put to great use here. Besides that, I really admire the use of the different flame pieces here, or at least the different translucent orange pieces conveying explosions and fire. The way that the builder also clips them onto different pieces to make it look like everything is kind of interconnected. For example, the spraying out bits of white from the explosion on one side, whereas the other guy is holding on to that translucent orange disc like he's catching the fire on his hand and on his face. That's really creative ways of incorporating these parts to make it look like there is actually an impact with each of these, like they're affecting the characters and the world around them, while also making it stable. They're able to actually connect. That's something that's really admirable, and I love it when people do something like that, because it's one thing to just have a couple fire pieces tacked on to the side or in the background or something, but when you take it to another level like this and give it that depth of, oh, this explosion is taking out a chunk of the ground and blowing it up into the air, or this fire is sticking to this guy that's getting hit with it, that's really just phenomenal detail work, and I could gush about it forever, but really, it's something I adore about builds like these. Overall, between the figures, the texturing, the explosion details, and the fire piece usage, I think this is a phenomenal little diorama, and I hope that this has inspired other builders to try something similar with their parts usage. Well done. Next up for our challenge here, we have the Burning Ice, built by Racy02. Now this is a Rahi build actually, and this is a mean looking critter, and I mean that in the best of ways. I never really see Rahi builds nowadays, so something that is not only inspired by my challenge, but also like as well put together as this is awesome. I was blown away when I first saw this thing, because the shaping with the spines and the ridges on this, using all those spiked blade pieces from the Krika set, as well as those other marble parts for the back legs, or like the Pridak blades for the legs there, and the Ninjago dragon head topping it all off. There's so much going on here, but it fits together so well. It really works. I could see this critter scurrying around and terrorizing Matoran. It's overall just a really, really well put together Rahi build. My favorite part about it is probably that big, angry looking jaw. I don't know if I would ever have considered using the Krika blade pieces as like a lower jaw, but it works really, really well here. This build looks like it's trying to emulate both the presence of an insect and like a lizard or a dragon, and I wonder if maybe if it was pushed a little further one way or the other, how that would change the sheer presence of this creature, because I feel like this is both simultaneously something that would skitter really fast but also attack very slow and powerfully. Like a crocodile with spider's legs. It is it is a very creative creature. I don't have much else to say beyond that, so I guess I'll just say overall really well done, and I love it. Next up, built by boards member Chonko704, we have Alfroth the Chunky. That's quite the name there, and I mean the build does fit the description. This lad is very well-rounded and quite messy, but it's like a cohesive kind of messy, a deliberate kind of messy, like jagged dragon scales or like a tangled mess of vines. I greatly appreciate how solid this guy looks, and there's also just a lot of really good layering and shaping here that goes into the overall presence of this build. I'm particularly fond of the upper leg construction, the way everything is all packed in there. The torso is also pretty impressive with how many parts and pieces are all wedged in there so snug, while also conveying that overall like armored yet potbelly shape that this guy is going for. And I just really appreciate the presence that this character has to him. He looks both menacing and jolly, and I can't help but feel like the Anika Jala head just really makes this build almost a little hard to take seriously, or at least this character. I feel like it has this demon bard presence that would want to command respect perhaps, but it can't be taken seriously simply because that face is too happy. I'm impressed by the amount of character that's gone into this build, and the parts usage here is also just really phenomenal. I love the canister lid Paraka heads for the shoulders there, and then the use of the actual Paraka spine and headpiece for the lower stomach, leading to perhaps like a tail-like structure there. None of the build suffers from any sort of gappiness, and it all looks well tight-knit, put together, and ready to go on a tabletop role-playing adventure. Overall, I really enjoy this build. Well done. Next up on our list, we have Cool Hero Factory Dude by Good Guy 2006. And this is a pretty cool dude. Now, it might look pretty basic, but I think that's where the charm and appeal of this character is. It reminds me very much of those back of the package or back of the canister combiner builds, or maybe like the end of instruction combiner builds from when Hero Factory was still around, or back when even Bionicle used to do that. And it does say at the bottom of the build's description, as you can probably tell, he's made for Brain Attack, Furno, and Stormer. And I could very well see this being an official or like a LEGO magazine combiner build. It's simple, but it gets the point across, and I feel like it does a very good job of combining these characters into a very like heavy powerhouse looking character. I appreciate the armored up lower arms. The upper arms have these energized weapons with the two different elements, and then everything is split straight down the middle in terms of the two different color schemes here. And it just takes me back to those good old days, and I really do miss stuff like that. I miss Construction. Overall, I really appreciate what the builder has done here. I know it's a simple throw together kind of build, but sometimes these are just the ones that get the brain juices flowing, or they inspire you to elaborate further. It's that basic building block that inspires you to take the next step, try out different building techniques by mixing together two different characters. Sometimes they're similar, sometimes they're different, but overall, the key here is inspiration, and I feel like that's the name of the game when it comes to builds like these. So, well done. Alright, next up for today is a build I am probably going to butcher the name of. I believe it's Senua, Spirit of Ice and Fire, built by joshdem. I hope I'm pronouncing that right as well. This is, I sincerely apologize if I'm mispronouncing anything here, but I really love this MOC. This is very, very reminiscent of Glatorian era builds. I adore the color scheme of this, paired with the character's silhouette. You got the modified Thornax launcher on one arm, you have this really wicked looking spear on the other, the character's got this chain necklace and these wings. It's got so many elements thrown into this that harken back to so many eras of Bionicle, while also creating this new, edgy, fantastic character here. I would have personally added a little bit more blue to accent other things, perhaps on the launcher instead of using translucent orange. I probably would have used blue there, like how the spear tip is blue or the tips of his helmet. But aside from that, honestly, this is just a really well put together character. I would love to see the story behind this. I love the custom torso to it. I love the wings. I probably said that already. I'm curious, what is that part that is like in on his mouth there that closes up Gelu's helmet's like the mouth gap there? That's a really neat touch. I don't know what part or piece that is, but I really like that. Overall, I don't really have much to say about it other than it's really, really cool looking and well done. Next up, we have Rivals, built by boards member ToaOfPlastic. Featured here are brick-built figures in the likeness of Tahu and Kopaka Mata, and I really love the attention to detail here. The way that certain slopes or add-ons are used to mimic the shaping of those 2001 joint pieces or the limbs. I especially like the use of the colored telephone there on Taho's and Kopaka's sword arms, or on the back of Kopaka's elbow there. That's a really neat touch, and I always love it when parts are used for something that they are very much obviously not intended for. It was one of the reasons why I always loved seeing the yearly Millennium Falcon set for what parts they would use for the circuitry or the guts of the outside of the Millennium Falcon, or maybe on the interior and the engine or whatever, because seeing them use just new wacky pieces in creative ways always gets me thinking about what pieces could be used in a similar fashion, like what maybe a handlebar could be used as a support strut or as a mustache. You really just never know what you can use a piece for, because really when it comes to Lego, the possibilities are endless. The shaping here to mimic the original builds is really well done here. I really appreciate that most of these pieces are also able to be acquired in a modern capacity as well. I can't, aside from perhaps the masks and the heads, see really anything that isn't obtainable. Perhaps there's a couple color differences or joint differences or something, but aside from that, these look quite buildable, and I would love to see a full lineup of these if unless they already exist out there and I'm just not seeing them, but this is really, really solidly done. My favorite part is probably how beefy the sword arms are in order to squeeze in all those details, but I don't feel like it detracts from the characters at all. I feel like it sort of sets apart these builds from their predecessors while also harkening back to them. It gives them a unique flourish while also giving them a likeness in appearance. Very, very well done here, and I would love to see the other Toa done like this as well if you have the time. Alright, last up for today, we have a Trial by Fire, built by board's member Eilrach. Am I pronouncing that correctly? You are more than welcome to scream at me in the comments section. I am just butchering the heck out of these names today, aren't I? That aside though, I am very, very pleased with this build as well. Even though it has another name that I know I'm going to butcher. It's Naengmyo. Wow, I am so terribly sorry if I'm screwing that up, but this is another phenomenal build. I guess I'll start with what I'm assuming is the protagonist of this build here, this Naengmyo. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. Such a very clever usage of those spine pieces for the arms and legs. I never would have thought to use them as limbs, but it gives this character such a cartoonish but well-defined appearance here. And then the detail for just the Borak eyes for energy coming off of the hands or fists, and then you got the visor piece functioning as more of that like ice energy coming off of his fist. Such a simple but really effective touch there, and I am very, very happy with how that looks. And then just the simple plating on the torso there to add to that very, very simple, very sleek silhouette, and then the Mata head on top. It's just this is a character. This is a defined character, but it's done so simply that I really can't help but gush about it. This is really, really cool to see. The counterpart to this build, the Ember Husk, as I believe it's stated, is also a very nice touch here. I really like the Hero Factory flame pieces towards the front of the build, and it fizzles out and becomes more translucent in the back while staying kind of like dark and charred in the front. It reminds me almost of a Ninjago fire creature, or of a like a Hero Factory, or maybe like late Bionicle Rahi or Animal. It's very, very solid in its silhouette, and the pieces and parts here convey that it's a burning creature. And again, it's such a simple silhouette, but it pulls off a look that has definition and purpose to it. And I really, really appreciate that. Overall, this build, I don't have much else to say about it. I know I've gushed about it quite a lot, but this is just a very well put together set of two characters. And I really appreciate that their simplicity is able to convey such a strong appearance for each of them. Truly, well done to the builder on this one. And that's all I've got for today. I won't lie, I thought it was going to be a little shorter with me going off script, but we're here at the 20-minute mark as I'm recording this. It's a longer video, but I do feel like each of these builds was quite deserving of attention in this video. There was so much great stuff here that I couldn't help but show off all of it. If the next contest rolls around and there happens to be more entries than this, I will probably, unfortunately, have to shorten the length of the video as to not make it too long, but in this case, I feel like there was just little enough to pack them all into one video and focus on each of them individually without going too overboard on the time limit. For those of you that have stuck around to the end here, thank you truly for being here, and for those of you that entered in this challenge here, also thank you so much. I wasn't quite sure how this was going to do, and honestly, this has shown me that this was a resounding success, and I would love to keep doing this. So, I'm going to go ahead and announce the next challenge. For those of you just looking for a regular MOC Spotlight, don't worry, we'll still be producing those videos as well, and the next MOC Spotlight you guys see will be a standard MOC Spotlight with builds taken from the LEGO Creations page of the message boards. The biggest factor that needed revision for these challenge spotlights, though, was the builders requested more time to work on the MOCs. So, perhaps instead of twice a month for the challenge MOCs, I'm going to make it a once a month deal. So, for the first week of the month, that is when the challenge will be issued. Specifically, the first Friday of the month. The entry period will start the following Monday, and instead of a singular week, it will last 2 weeks. From there will be a 2-week review period that will allow me to compile all of the results, tally up the number of likes, and make the video and have it ready for the first Friday of the following month, where the video will launch and the next challenge will be issued. So, without further ado, this next challenge is summer. I want to see your summer-themed builds. It is very hot out there, and I feel like a whole lot of us have some inspiration as to how we're keeping cool during these warm times, or just having a good old time. This challenge will go live on the message boards on July 5th, and the entry period will go through July 19th and end at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time on that day. From there, you can expect to see a MOC Spotlight with the results on the first Friday of the following month. That way, the builders have time to build, and I have time to make the video. Remember, this challenge theme is summer, and I really look forward to seeing what you guys build this time. Otherwise, I really hope you enjoyed the video today. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell for notifications to see when videos just like this one are heading out. If you want to see more stuff like this, or talk to fellow LEGO fans, you can head over to the message boards at board.ttvchannel.com, so long as you're 13 years old or older. If you want to stay even more up to date with the channel, you can check out our Twitter account at the TTV channel on Twitter. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel even further, you can become a patron starting at just $1 a month, and you'll get access to our Discord server for live podcasts, live updates, and, forever, most importantly, live shenanigans. You'll even get access to our Biocraft Minecraft faction server, where you can explore Bionicle locations such as the island of Mata Nui, made from blocks rather than bricks. Otherwise, take care everybody, stay safe, stay hydrated, stay cool, and I'll see you all next time.